This region around the Great Lakes has been called the heartland. When it comes to agriculture, there's hardly an area in the world that compares.
Everybody, just hold on. I don't know what we're going to have here.
That's what brings the viewers back. That a boy.
Manage money, piling in.
Double digits higher.
So at this point, we're in kind of uncharted territory.
There's a lot of money on the sidelines.
So that was a crazy one.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, August 12th, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you get any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area. We'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here at September corn down 3 1/4 at 381 3/4. September soybeans are down 13 1/4 at 978 1/2. And September Chicago wheat was down 6 3/4 at 508 1/4. This morning, USDA came out with a sales announcement. We had 315,488 metric tons of corn to Mexico. Out of that total, 20,830 was for 24, with the balance of 294,658 for new crop 25. Yesterday afternoon, we got crop conditions. Corn dropped 1% in the good to excellent category at 72%, still well above the average of 63%. Soybeans also lost 1% in the good to excellent category at 68%, still above the average, also at 63% for this time of year. Spring wheat, 49%, picked up 1 point in the good to excellent category, slightly below the average of 52%. And we are 16% harvested on the spring wheat crop. That's up from 5% a week ago and behind the average of 22%. Winter wheat almost getting done here, 90% harvested. That was up 4 points on the week and just pretty much in line with the average of 91% there. We did get some inflation data this morning. CPI came back at 2.7, up 2.7% for July. That was slightly better than expected. The Dow rallied a couple hundred points after the news, signaling that some of the tariffs that have been pointing or discussed about potentially causing higher inflation are not really taking place there. So we'll see what they do with rate cuts. I know they got a couple of big meetings here. We got Jackson Hole coming up, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out from that deal. I guess what we know to start the day, we're going to have a report here at 11 o'clock. I know we've talked about it a number of times. Average estimates are looking for slight yield increase in beans and, pretty significant increase in corn based on what the average estimates are looking like. And then yesterday, after a sharp rally in beans, we kind of bumped up against some technical levels, sold off overnight. And I know, Justin, you pointed out this morning, we got canola sharply lower. It looked like there was some import duties that were levied against Canada there. So maybe touch on that as we start the morning, and then we'll throw around the room.
China put a anti-dumping duty of 75.8% on Canadian canola. So canola's down over 6%. I think that was the kind of drove the weakness in the whole bean complex overnight. Obviously, we were up sharply yesterday, so we got a report today. So I think pretty easy to move the markets around right now. But that's a pretty, obviously, 76% duty is pretty harsh on any commodity. So that being said, we'll see what happens here. I don't know much. I think, like you said, we have the pre-report estimates. Obviously, we're expecting big numbers. Market's just, a day or two off its lows, trying to find some footing. I think it's going to be interesting. I was reading some commentary, that the, bears are hoping for a rally from the report to sell. I think conversely, I think there's a lot of people that are looking for a break to buy. So I think we're in a pretty interesting spot right here. I think a sharp break from these levels, there's going to be a lot of buyers. We're doing good demand. I think you've got, all the things that we've talked about with crop insurance and farm bill. And I think there's buyers sub $4. And I think, 420 and above, you probably got plenty of selling at least through the month of August. So it'll be interesting. I don't expect anything out of the norm today. So maybe that'll happen. But the shock would be if yields are unchanged. Obviously, I don't expect that at all. But yeah, I also think that there is enough anecdotal evidence out there as we're starting to get more clients checking crops that there's a lot of little issues and some big issues. So I still think the 188 to 190 type yield predictions are going to be really tough to validate. Personally, we'll see. I mean, we're going to get more and more evidence as we go through here every day. We're getting more clients that are checking fields and more agronomy reports, but it's 95 million acres and 5% above record yield. I mean, it's a really tough thing to do. It's possible for sure, but tough. So I'm just kind of looking at we're in very interesting levels here price wise and time wise. Like a lot of stuff happens this month, so we get a lot of data.
It was interesting too, Justin, overnight to see corn open interest down 36,749. That's a pretty significant drop there.
Yeah, the managed money could be liquidating their short position going into first notice day, as they know that's where they get the natural sellers to come in and offset that short position. So if they pull it off, it would be a great trade. It would have worked out well. At the same time, you're getting tons of old crop corn moving. It's unfortunate that much corn decides to get sold every year going into first notice day. But it is what it is. So we'll see.
Yep. Ben, what's on your mind as we go into today?
You're on mute.
When you look at sales, we continue to ship plenty of old crop. I think that's encouraging and indicative of the fact that people are hand to mouth here, as they should be. But I do think that at some point here, that ship sails on them. When you look across where the grower sits today, in a lot of cases, lower would mean better, which is counterintuitive. So, on the yield data, I think it's a valid point that a lot of it is satellite driven. But in the next little bit, next month, we're going to get a lot more boots on the ground field data from different crop touring conglomerates, and the market will figure it out faster, I think, than the data comes out. So certainly with the acres that we plan, we've got a lot of corn that's going to be handled regardless if the yield is 180 or 188. But I think the market gets a handle on it quicker than we see the data.
Yeah, I guess one thing too I'd ask, Justin, I mean, are you looking for anything big in the stocks? We're pretty tied up in how big a yield they're going to write down, but anything spectacular in the stocks?
Well, I mean, we're going to, no. I mean, we're going to get the next stock reports in September.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe some tweaks to rolled numbers, things of that nature, but no, it's going to be U.S. yield. I mean, I think the demand bears are going to have a tough time making that argument in corn. I think we've seen enough evidence that, corn demand's here, it's robust. So I think that's a tough story. I mean, a month ago, people wanted to, not only raise yield, but lower export demand. And I think demand is strong on all fronts in corn. Beans still a big wild card. I think beans could have the biggest issue there. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with China. Crush demand's good. Crush margins are good. But exports are just such a big part of the U.S. bean demand that it's just tough until you have a handle on China for right now. So, but yeah, it's going to be all yield on this report, I think.
It'll be interesting if you got something at like 182 or 182.5 or something like that. What this market's really trading. Are they at 185 or 186? That's what I'm interested to see.
Right. I don't. The problem with this report is it's still. I think we kind of move on pretty quick from it. I mean, unless it's a wildly different number than the guess. Call it if it's a 180. Or
right.
190. But If it's 183, 184, I think that's probably in the realm of what we're trading. And then the market's just going to care about, how does August finish off? What are these crop tours, Pro Farmer Tour, all these co-ops that we talk about? There's been a lot of videos circulating around with little independent groups. So I think the market's trying to get a handle on all that right now.
Very good. We got a couple of minutes here. Good morning, Rye. It was nice to see cattle battle back, sharply lower open yesterday after the bloodbath on Friday. But a nice rebound there, and then good start to the week for hogs. And it'll be interesting to see how they react with this truce in place with China. That should garner some steam. So I guess with that, what are your thoughts here this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like we kind of dodged a bullet yesterday. We had expanded limits. We started pretty weak, but kind of came back. October futures tested support at the 20-day moving average. This has been kind of that key buying level that we keep seeing the market test on these big breaks, and it does manage to hold. And as of right now, we really haven't seen anything on the cash side of things to really kind of shake out the psychology here at this point. I mean, beef prices were back up, choices up 268, select up 452. So, there's still a little bit of optimism here that prices are just going to climb right back, just like they did the last time we saw one of these breaks. There just really isn't, at least at this point, with the slaughter being kind of reduced, it does feel like packers are really going to try hard as they can to get some cheaper cattle this week, but we'll see if they can. It was a little bit on the weaker side last week, so I think that's a bit of a question mark right now. So just kind of feels like everything was kind of firm coming into the day, maybe a bit more confidence that we held support, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of firmer trade to start. And on the hog side of things, yeah, with the 90-day pause, I think that kind of led to a little bit of optimism yesterday. Plus, you got managed money coming back into the market. We saw the commitment to traders report show them as net buyers, so they're still carrying a relatively large long position going into this kind of later stage of grilling season. So I think just overall, there's still quite a bit of demand optimism on the carcass side. I mean, bellies were up about $8 yesterday, just a little over $8, back up to $2. So I mean, all the fundamentals still are pretty firm here. Cash is firm as well. So I mean, I think that overall, you got probably a little bit of a heightened sense that prices can move a little bit firmer here today.
All right. Appreciate the update there. One thing to note, USDA report, as I mentioned earlier, will be out at 11 o'clock Central. We'll take a look at those numbers. We'll be back with you for a bonus War Room edition at 11:15. Give you our thoughts and insights after seeing the report and how we're going to progress forward there. We appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so, and it'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that supports the show. We're doing this live every day that the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. Appreciate the thoughts and comments there this morning, guys. It was a good show. Hope everybody has a good day. And again, we will be back at 11:15 for a bonus War Room edition with our thoughts on the report. So until then, we'll talk to you here in a little.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.